Hi guys, welcome back to the vlog. This week we're in Seville in Spain. I flew from the UK to Faro in Portugal for the first part of my trip, which you can watch in my previous video. I then hopped on a Flixbus from Faro to Seville, which took 2.5 hours, and arrived in beautiful Spain. I hope you enjoy this vlog as I spend a solo week exploring a new European city I've never been to before. PS, don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the vlog! Good morning from Seville. It is my first morning here. I actually slept really well in the hostel, better than I did in the one in Faro. For the first time in history of my hostel travelling experience, I was actually cold in the hostel, which is kind of unheard of, especially in European hostels. They're renowned for having absolutely terrible aircon, but this one had good aircon, and I was actually like, oh, could I put some socks on? I could. So I've just had breakfast at this really lovely cafe called Filo, which I found on Instagram. Someone recommended it in one of those like all the places you should eat in Seville, and it was really lovely. It was kind of like had that neighborhood kind of cafe vibe, and I had this avocado and poached eggs toast thing, which is really delicious and has set me up really nicely for the day. And I ordered a latte, but it came as basically like a double espresso, so I feel like I've been slapped in the face with caffeine, which is kind of what I need because we've got a long day of exploring. First impressions of Seville are a 10 out of 10. It is so gorgeous here. The architecture, the palm trees, the little cafes on every corner with the al fresco seating, immaculate vibes. I'm sorry. Why am I living in England when places like this exist? That's all I think when I come to Europe. Why am I living in England? So I've made a bit of a rookie error and I have left my sun cream at the hostel. Now it's not super hot yet and I don't feel like I'm burning, but it is going to get to 30 degrees later and I really don't want to start day one with getting sunburn because that is quite embarrassing. So what I'm going to do is head back to the hostel and grab my sun cream, fill up my water bottle and juice up my phone with a bit of charge, and then we can head back out. I'm going to grab some lunch and then we are going to the Royal Alcazar of Seville this afternoon. It's something that you are meant to pre-book and I did actually pre-book it before I left England, so the ticket that I've got is for 3:30, so we've got a bit of time. But yeah, as I said, I don't really want to get sunburnt on day one. I'm not exactly looking tanned at the moment, but at the same time I really would rather not get a tan than burn. So we're in our healthy era, we're not burning, we're not laying out in the sun for hours on end, we're looking after our skin, now we're 30. The hostel is about a 15-minute walk back, but it's a beautiful walk. I'm just going to enjoy the views and then we can go again this afternoon. Okay, sun cream has been secured. I have charged my phone, I have drank some water and I'm ready to go again. I think what I'm going to do is try and find some tapas because you can't come to Spain and not have tapas. Going to a place that I found again on TikTok called, bear with, it's called Bar Alfalfa. Bar Alfalfa. Probably butchering that pronunciation, but it's meant to be really lovely tapas. So let's head there and then we can go to the palace, which is at 3:30. So need to get a wiggle on really. It's just gone 1 now, so I've got a few hours, not too bad. Having an absolutely gorgeous first day in Seville. It's exceeded expectations and I've only been here for a few hours. So I'm very excited for the rest of this trip. 6:30, still like 27 degrees, boiling hot, but I'm heading out to dinner now. Don't have a plan of where I want to go. I'm just gonna go with where the good vibes are and where the paella is, which should be pretty much every place I'd imagine will do paella, but that's what I've got my heart set on tonight. And then we're up early tomorrow because we're doing a day trip to Cadiz. I've booked the train on the Trainline app. I thought I would have to go to the train station, but actually it turns out I could do it on the Trainline app, so I just did it that way, and I've got my tickets on my phone. The train to Cadiz tomorrow is an hour and 30 minutes, I think. So I'm setting off from here about 8:30, I think the train is. Gets in about 10:20, and then I can do a bit of exploring, and then my return train is at like 5 p.m, so I've got a good 7 hours there. So it is going to be a bit of a rush, but I really wanted to see a different Spanish city and like go and explore somewhere new whilst I'm here. So that's on the agenda tomorrow. So I'll probably get an early night tonight because I'll be up relatively early tomorrow and trying to creep around the hostel, not making much noise and waking people up. Let's go find some food. Good morning, guys. It's 7 a.m. Excuse the croaky voice, I really need to find some coffee and a bottle of water. But this is so funny. So I've booked a train this morning for, it's just before 8:30 a.m. to Cadiz, and it's a half an hour walk from the hostel, and I wanted to get a coffee before. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave the hostel at 7. It's a little bit early, but I was getting a bit, I don't know, claustrophobic in the hostel as well. And I was like, I just want to get out. So I just literally like got up, got out. Tell me why it's dark at 7 a.m. Tell me why it's pitch black. This is hilarious. I didn't even think to look at when sunrise is. Sunrise isn't till 8:10. So I'm just going to be hanging out in Seville in the dark for an hour. I just thought that was so funny. I was like, have I got the right time? Like, have I got up at like 4 in the morning instead of 7 in the morning? It was really confusing. But yeah, this is Seville at 7 a.m. So funny. Lol, just tried to open the door at Starbucks and they were like, "Hun, we're not open." Obviously. Oh my goodness. Okay, I am an early bird when I'm on holiday. I like getting up nice and early and seizing the day, but I fear here that it's just a case of lay in bed until the sun rises at like 8. I'm here at the end of September, so just to let you know that check the sunrise times if you're coming in the autumn, I guess. I'm just gonna walk around this little square for a bit and wait the 15 minutes till Starbucks opens, grab my Starbucks, and then we'll walk to the train station, which yeah, is 30 minutes away, and hopefully we'll get a nice sunrise then. And then the train to Cadiz, as I said yesterday, takes about, I think it's just shy of 2 hours, so it shouldn't be too long, and we'll have a good 7 hours there to explore. I've written down a little list of some of the things that everyone said you should check out when you go there. I'm not sure how much we're going to be able to get ticked off because, as I said, it's only a quick day trip, but we'll see what we can find and see. And I'm glad that I'm doing something a bit different today and getting out of Seville for the day, because I've got the whole day here again tomorrow to do any of the bits that I didn't have time to do yesterday. And I'm here Friday as well. I've got loads of time. Also, you might be wondering why I didn't just look out the window when I woke up this morning and see that it was dark and just wait. The reason for that is my hostel doesn't have any windows. The only place that's open is Starbucks, so I guess we're going for a Starbies this morning. I would never normally get Starbucks on our way because I feel like there's always nice local coffee that you can try, but this was a needs-must situation. There was literally nothing else open and I've got to catch that train, so I'm also just walking behind a taxi trying to get through these narrow lanes. Look. That is brutal. You could not pay me enough to drive along here.
Thankfully, the sun did slowly start to make an appearance, and I ended up catching a really lovely sunrise, along with lots of commuters in Seville. The train ride to Cadiz was super straightforward. It was giving me major flashbacks to my summer of interrailing last year, which was lovely. Cadiz is one of Europe's oldest cities, even older than Rome, which kind of blew my mind. It's over 3,100 years old, and the cathedral is probably one of the most iconic parts of Cadiz, built between 1722 and 1838.
So here we have Playa de la Caleta Beach, and then over there, right in the distance, is the Castle of San Sebastian, which is giving low-key St. Michael's Mount with this little walkway through the water. The tide's out at the moment, but when it comes in, you can still walk across and have a look at the castle. I don't know where that music's coming from. It's just started. But I think we're going to have to walk across, aren't we? We're going to have to walk across to the castle. Can't come here and not do that. It's so hot here. Also, great time for me to realise that I have left my beach towel at the hostel. Brilliant. Didn't want to sit on the beach anyway, it's fine.
After soaking up the scenery at the beach, I was starving and in need of a sit down in the shade, so it was back to the palm tree lined Old Town for lunch. Then I took a stroll into the heart of the town, which was a collection of narrow streets with some great shopping. You could definitely spend a whole afternoon doing some retail therapy here. With a few hours left before my train back to Seville, I wanted to take another stroll along one of the sea walls, but accidentally stumbled across a really brilliant pop-up photography exhibition in the middle of the street. A total coincidence, but a lovely surprise, as I love photography. The collection was called Colours of the World, with a few photos representing all of the different colours. Final stop before heading back to the train station was this gorgeous 19th century botanical garden right by the ocean. Very romantic scenery with fountains, ancient trees and monuments.
I've just been to Syrah for coffee, which is apparently the go-to like best coffee place in Seville. They have, I think, 3 or 4 different coffee shops dotted around the city, and it did not disappoint. That was by far the best coffee I've had so far. I'm just at the riverfront now and I'm about to go up the Torre del Oro, which is also known as the Gold Tower. Not really too sure what it's about, but I think it served as like a military watchtower for Seville back in the day, and now it's like a little museum that you can go in. There's no set price, you just have to give a donation, so you can choose how much or little you want to give, and you can walk all the way up to the top of the tower, and I think there should be some quite cool views up there, so I think I'm going to do that this morning. Then once I'm done exploring this area, I think I'll grab some lunch and head into the old town because I really want to have a look around the shops properly. And then this evening I've booked a Spanish cooking class. I booked this before I left England, so I found it on Get Your Guide. It looked really cool and I'm not really too sure what to expect. All I know is that it's 3 hours and it's with a private chef, a small group of people, I think it's 10 people, and it's in English, so I'm gonna understand. I'd say I'm a pretty decent cook, but I'd love to learn more, and I love watching programs on Netflix like Chef's Table. I'd really love to learn a new skill and cuisine, so this is obviously all Spanish food. So I'm looking forward to it, it'll be fun. I'm kind of hoping that I'm not the only person on her own, but I think that the likelihood of that is probably quite high, given that it's a group of 10 and it's probably going to be a lot of couples or groups, but it's fine. We can make some friends, that'll be nice. I didn't actually do any vlogging yesterday because, to be quite honest with you, yesterday was my down day of the trip. I really want to normalise the fact that when you go solo travelling, you will have down days, and that is just part of it. The same as when you go on holiday with your family for 2 weeks, and after that 2 weeks you feel like you need a bit of space. It works the same way around. So when you're solo traveling, sometimes you do just get those days where you're like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I feel a bit alone, I feel vulnerable. And I think yesterday that was the day for me where I was like, I just feel a little bit lonely today. But that's okay, you just have to sit with that feeling. I found that happened to me when I went last year traveling, and it doesn't mean that you're not enjoying your time, because you are, and it doesn't mean that, you know, this is a negative experience. It's just that it's totally normal to feel out of place in a country that you've never been to before, and in a place where you don't speak the language, and especially in touristy spots where everyone is in a couple or in groups, and you're seeing families and you're seeing partners like sharing experiences. It can feel lonely. Having said that, solo travel is also an incredible opportunity, and there are so many highs to the lows, so it's just about that balance. Like I said, you'd probably have different lows if you go away with a group. You know, sometimes you really just want to do what you want to do, and you can't because you have to think of other people's wants and needs, whereas when you're solo traveling you don't have to think about anyone else but yourself. But that in itself has its challenges. So yeah, I just wanted to say that whilst it may look like super glamorous and like I'm having fun every single second of my trip, I think I'd rather just be honest and say that, you know, there are moments throughout a trip like this where you do feel a little bit lonely, and that is totally normal, and you just have to kind of sit with that, ride the wave. And yeah, I feel a lot better today. I mean, I chatted to a few people in the hostel this morning, and I think it's just like getting that balance between wanting to do your own thing but also having a little bit of human connection. Also, I would say if you're going on a longer trip, try and book, where possible, a hostel that has more of a community feel, and try and make friends. I haven't been as proactive in making friends on this trip as I did with my 6-week Interrail trip last summer, because I'm just kind of here to like have a week off and chill and also see a lovely place. And I guess, yeah, I haven't really like put a lot of focus on making friends, whereas in my other trip I was more keen to make new friends, and I made friends with people who then like we'd go traveling to the next place together. I did that in Poland, and you know, there was a group of us that like stayed in contact, and then we'd stay in the same hostels as each other, and it was really, really cool. So yeah, I would just say like find the balance, what's right for you, but also don't feel bad if you feel a little bit low and feel like, oh, why does it look like everyone else who's solo traveling is having the best time, because it's definitely a balance.
chök.